Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over a severe weather outbreak which is going to be taking place over parts of the south central and southeastern United States. We already have a slight risk out for the day 3 outlook and the day 4 outlook. We're also going to be talking about the severe weather threat for today for parts of the coastal northeast and mid-Atlantic, and we're going to be giving you a brief update on the winter storm which is currently ongoing through upstate New York and northern New England as well as Pennsylvania and all of those areas, and we're going to be giving you an updated look at the radar and how much snowfall has already fallen in some of these areas. So let's take a look at your National Weather Service page. You can see that we have a few scattered wind advisories back through the western United States, red flag warnings covering much of the state of Arizona, western New Mexico, southwestern Colorado, and southern Utah. We even have some more red flag warnings back through South Carolina, Georgia, and North Carolina. We have some frost advisories in the medium shade of blue, which covers parts of the Tennessee Valley as well as the Central Plains and a little bit of North Carolina as well. And then a huge area of freeze warnings, which stretches from Connecticut all the way to Kansas and Nebraska. So a huge area of freeze warnings and frost advisories, which are currently in place. The freeze warnings are in the dark blue. And then we have winter weather advisories up for the interior Northeast, southwestern New York, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and northern Maine, all under some winter weather advisories as of right now. Yesterday we had a high temperature in Death Valley, California, where they got to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. 9 miles south of Albany, Wyoming, they got to negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit. That was the low temperature in that area. Brighton, Florida, they got to 2.89 inches of rainfall. That was the highest rainfall report yesterday. And the highest snowfall report yesterday was in Allen's Park, Colorado, where they got 16.2 inches of snowfall reported yesterday. So speaking of snowfall, here is the snowfall reports map. And this was last updated as of 7 a.m. Eastern time. So this is not complete for many of these areas that are back through here. So if you live back through here, this is not complete back through these areas. It's only complete if you live in the Ohio Valley, and mainly this area is where it's mostly complete, although even these areas, the data isn't fully in just yet. I think I did pretty good with this forecast so far. I really did a good job with outlining this area, especially in northern Ohio, with the heaviest snowfall, with 4 to 6 inches plus. That's what they got. We even had a few reports over 6 inches. So overall, I would give my forecast about a B plus as of right now. We're gonna have to see exactly what happens in the interior Northeast, because that'll really dictate really the outcome of this forecast in general. But you can see how we even got some decent snowfall reports. We even had snowfall reports, by the way, near Cincinnati. They got 3-4 inches of snowfall. Even down near Louisville, that got 1 or 2 inches of snowfall. So we had some really high numbers, even fairly far to the south into Kentucky, southern Indiana, southern Ohio. All of those areas still got hit with quite a bit of snowfall for this time of year. Here's the current radar on a zoomed out picture, and you can see that we have more of that snowfall still going back on from Binghamton back up through central New York into northern New York near Plattsburgh and Burlington, Vermont, and then going back up into Montreal, Canada, and then through into northern Maine as well as Quebec City. All of those areas dealing with some of that snowfall currently ongoing. We even have a few bands of heavier snowfall back to the west and to the east of Montreal right now. So we do have a few pockets that are seeing some heavier snowfall. We also have some thunderstorms which are currently going on back through into eastern New Hampshire, or actually central New Hampshire, back through western Massachusetts, eastern Connecticut, and then also a line of storms back through eastern Pennsylvania. Let's take a zoomed in look on these thunderstorms. You can see we have our first line back east of Reading and west of Allentown right now. This is going straight into central New Jersey if we were to continue this out a little bit more. And the actual threat of tornadoes, believe it or not, is actually back up through here where we have more individualized, isolated storms that could cause some tornadic activity, maybe a brief spin up here and there. You can also see those thunderstorms back through Connecticut and Massachusetts, even into eastern Long Island that are causing some issues on the roadways right now with some of those heavy downpours at times. We have a mesoscale discussion currently in place for potential thunderstorm development. By the way, I put it in the bottom right hand part of your screen. We have a 60% chance of a watch in this area according to the Storm Prediction Center. They are talking about potentially thunderstorms developing within the next hour or two. You can see here's your low pressure, here's your warm front. So anywhere that's shaded back through here is within that warm sector and that warm layer, and that's where most of the thunderstorms are going to be taking place as that blue cold front on your screen continues to head further to the east. We have a 40% chance of a watch in this area, which encompasses eastern Virginia, eastern Maryland, Delaware, southern New Jersey, and southern Pennsylvania as well. And they are also talking about damaging wind gusts and possible storms developing later this afternoon within this area right here. Here's a look at the zoomed-in radar over the northern New England and interior northeast region. You can see mainly, I think this is not even really heavy rainfall. If you lived in this area, I'm assuming it's actually more steady rainfall, nothing that's too heavy. This is most likely just wet snowflakes in the upper part of the atmosphere that are kind of being picked up on the radar. So this is probably not even that heavy of rainfall if you were to actually be underneath it. This is mostly just because we have snowflakes in the upper part of the atmosphere that are melting, but the radar still picking it up as precipitation. So that might not actually be heavy rain, but you can see the heaviest snowfall definitely falling back through into northern New York, central New York as well, northern Maine, northern Vermont and New Hampshire, even back through southern Quebec and Canada, where we are dealing with some of that snowfall. So on to the severe weather for the south central and southeastern United States. Here's the day 3 outlook. And you can see that we have a slight risk of severe weather through southern Oklahoma, eastern Texas, northern and central Louisiana, and then even back through southern Mississippi, where we have that slight risk. And this is for Friday. Here's for Saturday, and they have a 15% chance, equivalent to a slight risk of severe weather back through South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and northern Florida. And on all of those areas, we could be dealing with some severe weather. I'm actually surprised that they didn't actually move this a little bit further to the north. I would have actually included some of these areas as well, but that's just my opinion. I think probably by the day 3 outlook, we'll at least see you guys in a marginal or a slight risk of severe weather. By the way, this is unrelated, but I just want to show it to you guys. We have another round of severe weather, and on their day 7 probability, believe it or not, for next Tuesday, they rarely put anything out on their day 6, 7, or 8 outlooks. They do it sometimes, but especially on the day 7 and 8 outlooks, very rare that they'll put anything out, and they actually have a 15% chance in northern Texas, central Oklahoma, and southern Kansas of seeing some severe weather, and that's a slight risk already. So maybe another enhanced or moderate risk event in those areas. We'll have to see, and we're definitely going to continue to track that, and we'll have updates for you guys as we get closer to that event. Here's what the European model is showing in terms of the simulated radar. This is a lower resolution model just because we are still about 2 to 4 days out, and we don't have any of the higher resolution models such as the NAM model or the RGEM model, which can completely go through. So we're going to have to rely on longer range, lower resolution models, but it should get a decent enough picture of what we could expect. And then probably by tomorrow or the day after, we'll have the high res models, and we'll show them to you in tomorrow's video or the day after, of course. So this would be by Friday afternoon. We're dealing with that low pressure up through here. You have that warm sector, which is somewhere to the south of here. So I'll actually shade that in red. And anywhere that's basically within this area right here is where you are under some warmer weather. So all of this area right here, we have warm air that's in place, warm, moist air that's in place. And that's all helping to fuel these thunderstorms that are going to be coming out of the Gulf of Mexico with those straight southerly winds. And all that warm air is, again, going to be fueling these storms. So you're going to see that by later on Friday night. So this is right around 7, 8 o'clock Central Time at night. And we are looking at heavy rainfall at times into eastern Texas, Louisiana, southern Arkansas as well. So fairly heavy rainfall in those areas. Then if we move over into the southeast, you can see that we have a huge area of potentially heavy and torrential downpours back through southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and central Mississippi as well. And then that would be by early on Saturday morning. So this is right around 1 or 2 in the morning Central Time on Saturday. Here to be by Saturday around 6 or 7 in the morning. And we're looking at heavy rainfall over a huge area in northern Mississippi and northern Alabama. Then it starts to head further to the east into parts of the southern Appalachias, into northern Georgia, upstate South Carolina, western North Carolina, and the rest of those areas are just dealing with lighter or moderate rainfall. And that area of heavy rainfall does move into the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, even a few pockets of heavy rain back through the panhandle of Florida as well. So we are going to want to watch out. And again, I'm waiting for the high resolution models to really make my full judgment on this. And then you can see those residual rain showers by Saturday night, maybe even into early Sunday morning, still hanging on for the coastal part of the southeast, and then even moving into northern and central Florida by Sunday morning. So here's the total rainfall. And starting off in the south central United States, then we'll shift it over to the southeast. But you can see that we do have a big area that's expecting 2+ inches of rainfall in that orange or red color, even a few 3+ inch areas back through there. And then here's this huge area which is expecting 2+ inches, which spans multiple states from Texas and Louisiana all the way up into North Carolina. We have a huge area of potentially heavy rainfall, upwards of 3 or 4 inches in some of these pockets. And then if you look at the temperatures, these are also going to be very, very warm. So this is for Friday, and you can see that in Texas, even moving up into Oklahoma, we have temperatures through that warm sector that are going to get quite high. We're going to be dealing with temperatures in some areas in southern and western Texas getting up near 85 degrees, and then in eastern Texas, not as warm, but still in the mid and upper 70s. So that's well above what you would typically need to get a thunderstorm. Here's by Saturday, and you can see the high temperatures by then. We have 80s along the Gulf Coast and also into Florida, and then we have 70s pretty much everywhere else. So, yeah, pretty much everywhere in the southern United States that's going to be affected by this is going to have temperatures that are low enough, or high enough actually, to precipitate some of these thunderstorms and help develop them. So here's the dew points. These are going to be very, very impressive. We have dew points that are above 65 throughout this entire area, but what I'm more interested in is look at this dew point depression, where you're going from dew point temperatures that are near 60 degrees right here, and then you go right maybe 10-15 minutes to the west, and if you're driving 10-15 minutes to the west, you're probably dealing with dew points that are in the 30s and 20s, even teens if you go a little bit further to the west. So a huge gap right in between these areas right here, and that is an indication of very high amount of moisture that's being inflowed to the eastern part of the storm, or to the area east of the storm system, and a lot of cold, dry air that's being penetrated on the western end. And this is going to spawn up a little bit of convection, and it's going to create a little bit of spin in the atmosphere as well. Here's the dew points in the southeast on Saturday, and you can see that for Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, all those areas have dew points above that 60-degree and dew point threshold that I like to use. Even some upper 60s up through parts of Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, all of those areas. And then even for parts of the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida, we're dealing with dew points upwards of 70-degree dew points. Sorry, I just kind of got a little bit of a cough there. But in parts of Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas, we do have dew points potentially getting up into the 60s and the 70s back there. Here is the CAPE values, which is convective available potential energy, a measure of how much instability and energy is actually in the atmosphere. And you can see that in southern Oklahoma, eastern Texas, western Louisiana, southwestern Arkansas, all these areas have dew points, or actually CAPE values, that are going to be above 1,000 joules per kilogram, even upwards of 2,000 further to the south. And then if we go to Saturday, this is where it's getting a little bit more concerning, because we have pockets of 3,000 to 4,000 CAPE, which is really not what you want to be seeing, because that is the type of CAPE that you see when we're dealing with big outbreaks. So I'm really crossing my fingers here and praying that we're not going to be dealing with any sort of big tornado outbreak or any big severe weather outbreak, because of course those are very destructive and really not too fun to deal with unless you're storm tracking. So really not a good situation if we have those high CAPE values that continue in the models. We're going to hope that they go down, and we'll keep you updated if that does happen. And then in the coastal Carolinas, Georgia, and also into Florida, We have Cape values that are fairly high. I would say low to medium Cape values throughout those areas. Here's the wind gusts with this, and these are also going to be quite high. You can see 45 plus miles per hour back through Louisiana and Mississippi. 30 plus knots in, right, 30 plus miles per hour in these areas in eastern Texas as well. So not huge over the south central United States, but in the southeast, you can see that we have values that are going to be closer to 50 miles per hour, even 60 miles per hour at times through parts of the Carolinas, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama. All those areas are going to be dealing with rather gusty winds with this event. Here's the precipitable water, and this is basically just showing you in the atmosphere. If you were to kind of take out all the moisture and all the available moisture to the atmosphere, and you were to squeeze all that out at once, here's how much rainfall you would actually end up with. And you can see that we have pockets of 2+ inches of precipitable water, which is very, very high. And really, we only need above a 1 in most cases to get some decent thunderstorms. So when you're above 1.5, even above 2 inches of precipitable water, that is quite concerning, and that is what can create a rather intense area of not only rainfall, but also thunderstorm activity. Here's by Saturday morning. You can see that we still have some high precipitable water values back through the southeast, and then even through parts of the coastal southeast, we have some higher precipitable water values throughout those areas as well. Now, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.